A one, two, 1, 2, 3. Hey, welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Zolian Podcast, where we talk all about family, fantasy, and freedom. But before we begin, today's sponsor is yours truly, because this channel is not monetized. If you check out the links in the description below, you'll see a donation link. Using any of those links below and making a donation is greatly appreciated. It goes a long way to helping improve the show. Every dime goes back into the show and to increase the quality of every avenue possible. God bless you. And now let's begin. Today we're going to talk about how to leave 5e without killing your story. A lot of y'all talked to me last few weeks about being afraid to leave 5e because you're in the middle of a campaign, you're in the middle of a story, you're in the middle of a run, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with being concerned about how to make that seamless transition, but there's lots of avenues you can explore if you are willing to take the risk. The risk is always minimized with some planning. A little planning and a little, storytelling technique here and there and some ideas and inspiration will go a long way. You just have to remember that you're the DM. You guys are the ones running the ship. You're the ones running the story. You're basically the engine. You're the system itself. You're the AI. You're the AI. As far as Wizards is concerned, they consider you the AI. So you're the one. You got to make it happen. You're the engine. You can make it happen. You just have to find different avenues. You just haven't found that correct or happy place, as I call it, the happy place, the happy zone. Okay, your funny button. That sounds wrong when I say that, but you know what I mean. A lot of people, they have their different avenues of how they want to tell a story, what kind of twists and plot twists they want to do, what kind of villains they want to bring into their story, what kind of worlds they want to explore, what kind of dungeons they want to adventure through. Everyone has their favorite kind of flavor. Okay, so you are gonna find yours, I'm sure of it. Yeah, here's some ideas though. I'll give you for free. Okay, some ideas that has worked for me, because I've been through many many system swaps in my time, and it's not easy, but it's all about how much you want to make it easy, right? How easy do you want to make it? It's not gonna be easy, it's just going to be easier based on what you do. So here we go. And by the way, thanks for watching. We already talked about the support. Here we go. So here's an idea. So your evil wizard loses, okay? He's going to isekai you now. Now, what does that mean? Isekai is a term that basically means it's basically a portal fantasy, right? The whole portal fantasy where you get whisked away into a different world through various reasons. Maybe the character dies and they get whisked away into the afterlife or a different world or the underworld or whatever, right? This whole concept is, really it goes all the way back to Never-Ending Story. It goes even further back than that, to when kids would have their imagination. Back in the day when there's no computers, they had their imagination. They would go out there and play in the park. You know how it goes. I did that a lot. A lot of Bridge to Terabithia kind of style of adventuring, right? Where you pretend things are happening, right? And you're just playing around. And you're beating up bad guys. Anyways, so this is basically a game within the game now. Basically, you're being whisked away in a fantasy within a fantasy world. Okay, so the villain, the wizard, he loses, and now he's trying to drag you into his world, whatever that world may be, whatever world you already created, where all his henchmen are waiting for you, right? This is a kind of an old trope. A lot of manga have it, where the villain's about to lose, and last minute he pulls away the good guys into a whole different world. Actually, there's a lot of stories that do an inversion of that. But anywho, so this is a story about, trying to survive the onslaught of whatever dark world they put you through. Now you have an opportunity to have a new system, new mechanics, new add-ons, things you want to take away, you can take away. It all makes sense in the story. Maybe they never come back to the real world or whatever. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's a whole other planet they got whisked away to. Maybe it's a whole new universe. Maybe their old universe was dying out, and the villain is blowing the whole universe up, and they have to escape, and this is the only route they can go. So that's an option for you to explore. Here's an example. Actually, hold on one second. There, yeah, that's right. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? That is actually an old slide. That's literally the same slide. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. Here's another example. An evil wizard wins, and it's a dark future now. Okay, so maybe it's a more barbaric world, and it's very primordial. So now you use less stats, so you can take away a couple stats, and it's part of the systems, part of the story. It's very nice blend into what's happening. Another example could be if the party's too strong, you create a new weather when they go into this dark future where the wizard has won. That's a very old trope. In fact, I think the most famous one is what do you call it? I mean, there's two of them. One is Mistborn, but the other one is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, where the villain named Ganondorf wins. He basically wins, and so now you're in the dark future where a lot of things are not the same. A lot of the things that you had before you took for granted are no longer there. A lot of people are changed, and for the worse in a lot of ways. The dynamic is different. It's very negative, very I would say despondent, and some stuff is edgy. It gives you opportunity to create edgy, cool things. A lot of grim dark. Maybe you want to go from a normal, high fantasy story to a more grim dark world, and this is an example to do it. You can create a bunch of obstacles like that harsh weather to deter very, very powerful your very powerful PCs. Now they have to avoid the open doors, and then so they don't want to get into big fights inside buildings, because then that exposes them to potentially being out in the weather, right? They bust a hole in the wall, and now the cold weather comes in, and they all get debuffs, right? Another example could be you made up a new type of weather. Maybe it's acid rain. Acid rain's coming in, everyone's taking hits, and it's very deadly. And so people don't want to take that risk with their characters, so they'll be more cognizant of the situation of wherever they are, and it kind of very slowly deters from having that combat, right? You kind of you created deterrence, a natural deterrent, right? A very organic deterrent from having battles all the time, right? So that's another example. Travel could be maybe your world is maybe the world is too big, or maybe you have too much stuff. Maybe you want to explain fast travel because you don't want to have weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of travel for your campaign. So you made an in-story example of the world is flooded. Now you have to use portal gates to get through places. Or maybe they're out in space or something. Maybe the air is bad. Maybe they can't smell the air. Maybe they can't breathe the air, right? So maybe they have to go through these internal gates to get from place to place, and they can't be out in the open air. Another example is that acid rain. It could contribute to that. And so there's that example right there. In the dark future, it's it could introduce you to a bunch of new ideas also that you want to introduce. So maybe you want to go from a more science, fiction kind of thing, a more cyberpunk kind of thing. You could introduce those elements in that new gameplay now. It's a dark future. You can take away magic. Maybe magic is gone for good. Maybe magic is now limited to items. Maybe you want to severely limit the type of play that used to be indicative in 5e that you can put into your new adventure. So maybe you have like more different types of, while you're encouraging different types of play that are in like Pathfinder, for example, or whatever game you're playing, maybe GURPS. You can also debuff all the stuff that was in 5e, and slowly over time you can say, oh, all the magic from whatever that universe is gone. Now you're stuck with whatever is in the current world, the dark future, right? So there you go. Now we're back to this. This is the one I wanted to talk about. Chasing the villain to a new continent. This one's a little bit tricky because you still have to have like an in-world reason why the mechanics are completely different. But in the new continent, it could still work because in a new continent, different biomes, different food, different, the plant life is different. So maybe the magical powers when you eat regular plants goes away, and now you have new powers or whatever, right? So you're chasing this new villain or this villain that you've been chasing this whole time, your party's been chasing this whole time, to this new continent, and it's just a bunch of guys who look like this guy. They're all buff. They're all way stronger than you. So now you can kind of curve that scaling where the power scaling was too high this way. Now you can kind of even it out a little bit more. I just wanted to provide a little map. This is an actual story. The Hokuto no Ken, Fist of the North Star. This is like the sequel, which is a great example because in the first Hokuto no Ken series, the main character was OP. He was way overpowered. It was part of his personality. But in the sequel, he was a lot more undermatched, he was more of the underdog now because everybody's like way too powerful and they're way young now too. So, based on the culture, these kids were all, everyone in this picture is a teenager who knows explosive kung fu. Only 1% of the teens in this new continent turn into adults. The rest die. So basically, it kind of creates this super army of young people who are like all through constant battle and survival. They're like basically hardened into like this warrior setup versus like bandits, which is what Kenshiro was fighting before. But anyways, so going to a world of complete ruthless, violent, and meritocracy of strength and death could probably make your party more cognizant of not getting into fights, right? Maybe it's another natural way of deterring combat if you have a more story focused kind of story. You have to create natural negatives to the things that you don't want to happen in the story. I'm not saying force your players to not play it. Make them have a choice. They have to always give your players a choice and always have that option available. But create a deterrent, right? A natural deterrent where it feels like it's not opportune to do so. So now there's like a give and take. They have to decide what they really want to do in that world. And always giving players the choice is usually always going to give you the best kind of gameplay possible, a cohesive gameplay possible, and that's what you really want to be doing. Anyways, did I miss anything? What's your take on all this new, strange, possible? Oh, I did not edit that. I missed that somehow. What do you guys think about that? What are your ideas on this whole thing? Do you think that there are different ways to encourage different kind of play and discourage people from playing the old style way or whatever? What are strategies you've used to transfer from 5e to another gameplay? And tell me what the game was that you guys transferred into, and what was that like? Do you miss it? Do you miss 5e? Let me know. Appreciate your time. Here's my information. God bless you guys, and you have a wonderful day.